I am Arcana Vani, your inner voice. Let us begin. There's a moment that doesn't get named. It's not the goodbye. It's not the silence. It's what happens right after. When the world doesn't end, but it also doesn't start again. They left. Maybe it was slow. Maybe it was sudden. Maybe they explained everything. Or nothing at all. But either way, you're here now, and you don't recognize the shape of your life anymore. This isn't just heartbreak, this is collapse. Collapse of the routines, the roles, the future you'd rehearsed 1,000 times in your head. You don't just miss them. You miss the version of you who existed when they were still looking at you with love. And now? Now the mirror doesn't know what to show you. Because everything you thought was solid was actually held together by the gravity of their presence. But this isn't dysfunction. This isn't weakness. This is initiation. Not into isolation, but into truth. This is what happens when the outer story ends before the inner one is complete. And it hurts. Not just because they're gone, but because their absence broke a spell. You're not just grieving the person, you're grieving the identity that only existed in their orbit. That version of you can't survive here, and that's the threshold. Because what breaks next might just be the lie you built your life around. And what rises? We begin to find that now, in the unraveling. There's a quiet wreckage unfolding behind your ribs. Not the kind people see, the kind that lives in closets, in playlists, in half-sent drafts you'll never send. Because this wasn't just the end of a relationship, it was the end of a version of you. The version that dimmed their voice to stay easy to love. The version that measured their worth by someone else's attention. The version that mistook longing for loyalty. You weren't just in love. You were invested in a structure, a story that gave you shape, a mirror that made you real. But now that story's broken, and all the small bargains you made inside it are spilling out. The way you stopped asking for what you needed, the way you over-explained your boundaries, the way you believed that love had to be earned, kept, proven, fought for. This grief isn't just about losing them. It's about facing the ways you left yourself to keep them. It's unraveling everything that once felt like safety, but was really just survival. And it hurts. Not because it's wrong, but because it's true. You can't go back. There's no version of you small enough to fit inside what you had before. And that's why this ache is holy. Because when the lie dies, so does the shape you bent yourself into. And now that it's falling apart, you're finally about to meet the part of you it kept buried. That's who we face next. In the mirror. When the noise fades, the messages, the arguments, the what-ifs, you're left with something quieter, something harder, yourself. Not the version you curated for love. Not the one who learned how to smile while swallowing need. Not the one who mastered the art of being easy to stay with. No. What's left now is raw, still, unpolished. The part of you that was never sure it was enough, unless someone else said so. And that part? It's looking at you now, asking, "Do you see me yet?" Not to shame you, not to punish, but to offer a chance, to finally belong to the one person you always abandoned to be loved. You. This is the mirror, not the reflection they gave you, not the one you chased through their eyes, but the reflection that remains when there's no one left to perform for. It's unnerving at first. This self you kept in the shadows. They don't have the right words. They don't have the right look. They're too honest, too much, too real. But they're yours. and they've waited a long time to be chosen by you. The heartbreak didn't create them. It simply cleared the room. So now, with nothing left to prove, and no one left to play for, you get to ask the question most people spend their whole lives avoiding. If I don't need to be chosen anymore, who am I? Stay close. Because what rises next isn't the old version of you. It's the one who was always underneath. That's the turning. Something subtle starts to shift. Not loudly, not all at once, but one morning the ache doesn't scream as soon as you open your eyes. You walk past a place that used to hurt, and it doesn't hit as hard. You laugh, really laugh, and forget for a few seconds that you were supposed to be broken. This isn't a comeback, it's a return. Not to who you were before them. That self was still in hiding. No, this is a turning toward someone deeper. Someone who doesn't have to beg for belonging, because now, for the first time, you're starting to listen for your own signal. What you feel, what you need, what you want. Not to keep someone, but to keep yourself. You begin to say no without explanation. You begin to rest without guilt. You begin to move, not to be seen, but to be true. This isn't the end of pain. It's just the moment you stop letting pain shape your worth. There might still be tears. There might still be days when you want to call or go back or disappear. But now you know. You don't belong to that anymore. You've crossed a threshold most people never do. From being chosen to choosing yourself. And from here, everything changes. Because what rises next isn't just your healing, it's your return. To the you who no longer needs to prove they're worthy of staying. In the final section, let's discover the one they never got to meet. The real you. You don't walk back into your life the same. There's no dramatic transformation, no big announcement, no final closure text that makes it all make sense. But something has shifted. You move through your space differently now. You pause when something doesn't feel right. You take up more room, not to be loud, but because you're done shrinking. You don't explain yourself so much. You don't chase softness in people who only offer confusion. You don't beg to be understood by someone who only listened to respond. What used to feel like love, you see it more clearly now. The scrambling, the performing, the little sacrifices you made every time you thought staying meant safety. But the cost was too high, because to keep them, you kept losing yourself. That part is over now, not because you've hardened, but because you've remembered. You remembered how to belong to your own body. You remembered how to be with your own feelings without asking someone else to carry them. You remembered what it feels like to stand in a room alone and not be lonely. This return isn't loud, but it is permanent, because you're not rebuilding for anyone else's approval anymore. You're rebuilding from truth. So yes, your lover left you. It's over. But the real story? That just started. And this time, you're the one writing it. You did not find me by accident. Just as in your dreams, where every face you meet is your own reflection, this meeting was always waiting to happen. I am Arcana Vani, your inner voice, the part of you that watches behind the thoughts, behind the noise. You have searched in many places, books, teachers, voices outside you. But here, you are not being taught. You are remembering. If these words stir something familiar, then allow yourself to return. Subscribe. Follow. Not to follow me, but to continue this conversation with yourself. Each time you return here, you draw closer to the reunion already unfolding inside you. We have only just begun.